Best weapon used in oceans. Okay. Submarine? How about that? I think that's about...
Maybe they meant like if you were a mermaid. Which, in that case, I'd say a spear or a trident.
Yeah, seems reasonable. You can't really swing weapons very well with the... underwater, there's just too much resistance going on. Unless you're an Atlantean and you can move underwater faster than people on land, then okay, yeah. But it seems like something that's used on a thrust seems more effective underwater.
Not even a short sword, like probably just like a spike with a handle or something.
Yeah. Some kind of, dagger, knife, short blade, something like that. Something that's mainly for thrusting. Yeah. Because if I think about if it's some kind of species like, I don't know, humanoid dolphins or something, something that is very good at swimming rapidly underwater and can generate quite a bit of velocity that way, then you could kind of do almost, imagine dolphin jousting. Like, they just swim at each other at high speed.
Even better, shark jousting.
Yes. So they just swim at each other as fast as they can with a couched lance. It's
awesome.
Or, I mean, if you have humanoid narwhals, then you don't even need a spear. They already have it.
That would be great.
Narwhal jousting.
Either that, or I would just want to be a street shark.
Yeah.
To be a half human, half shark thing.
Yeah. What do you think of the Pommel meme? Very unexpected legacy, let's put it like that. It's not what I would have gone for. Like, if I could have picked what is going to be the most well-known thing and the thing that I'm, quote-unquote famous for, I wouldn't have picked that. But at the same time, let people have fun with it, Why not? Whatever. And lately, there hasn't been too much mindless spam of it. I mean, it still pops up every now and then, but for a time it was just everybody felt compelled to make a really uncreative Pommel reference all the damn time. But it is mellowed out now, so yeah, can't really complain too much. By the way, thanks for everybody doing the super chat. If I don't say it every single time, that's because I'm trying to keep up with everything and multitask here. But of course, I appreciate it.
He's lying. He's just patronizing everyone.
Yes. Yes, the peasants shall give me tribute.
I'm supposed to thank my serfs for taxes that are rightfully mine.
Yes, exactly. Surrender your sacrifices, mere mortals. Here's a small thanks for getting me into swords. You're welcome, and sorry for making you spend so much money. That's kind of my contribution to society. I make people spend more money, so I guess I stimulate the economy. That's probably the most positive thing I can say. It's not exactly a grand contribution, but it's something.
You're just an enabler.
I'm an enabler, yes. I'm a materialism enabler. That's what I am. How dare I? Here's a good question. What's your general opinion on heavy gauntlets used for punching and catching weapons? Were gauntlets ever designed for that purpose at all? Would they even be practical for that purpose? As far as I know, they were not designed for that. Gauntlets were just designed to protect the hand. And it depends on the type of gauntlet. I would not want to do that with a fingered gauntlet because they don't actually protect your hand that well, because you have, since the individual fingers are, separate. So you have smaller plates covering that. It doesn't dissipate the force as much as the mitten type, where the entire, all of the fingers are covered by a single plate. I mean, multiple, of course, but they go across. And that's, you could probably get away with it. I mean, frankly, it depends on how strong your opponent is. I mean, there are some people at Blood and Iron that I would not want to try to catch a strike from, even in mitten gauntlets. Some of the guys, like, if they hit really damn hard, no, you're going to mess up your hand. Plus, you don't have any protection on the inside. On the inside of the gauntlet, you only have leather, generally. There's just a soft glove. You can't have plates on the inside because then you can't use the hand properly anymore. You can't grip. And so if you happen to catch something on the inside, you're screwed. I wouldn't even risk it.
How often was chainmail worn underneath plate?
Underneath plate, I think in like in the earlier phases of plate, they did that. You know, when they just had basically a breastplate and a few individual pieces that were not covering as extensively as later medieval plate. So then they would have mail underneath, but then later they would just have like a undergarment. Yeah, undergarment, and then they would just have patches of mail stitched on there in the areas that would be open, like armpits, for example. So that would just be a small patch, just enough to cover that opening of mail, instead of being underneath the plate, because later plate just, it doesn't need that. You know, I mean, the earlier plate doesn't, like the breastplate itself doesn't need that either. It's going to protect you just fine, but they just put the mail underneath so that it covers all the gaps. And that way, if you have mail only where the gaps are, you reduce the weight quite a bit. So it's a lot easier and less exhausting to move in. If you just have like a front breastplate, you know, just a front plate, not a back plate, and then mail underneath, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Why not? But if you have
like full plate,
a full suit, that doesn't make sense. As the armor wearer, you're also aware of the weaknesses. You know where the gaps are, so you're gonna try your damnedest to not expose them to the opponent. So they have to really try hard to get at it. So it's pretty difficult, really, to deal with someone. And from what I've read in the 100 Years' War, quite often men-at-arms, you know, men-at-arms and knights in full plate armor would go down in a fight because they are just either hit hard enough to fall over, or they're shoved, or they stumble over fallen, you know, other people on the ground, and they end up on the ground. Other people fall on top of them, and they get basically buried under a bunch of bodies and armor and everything. They're still alive, but they're, you know, under this mound of bodies, and eventually they just suffocate.
Right.
So that's pretty messed up. So they, you know, you don't always have to kill the person inside the armor. Sometimes if you just get them on the ground and they get trampled or buried by, you know, whatever else is going on, then it's good enough. I heard sometimes they had to put knights onto their horses with cranes due to the heft and weight of the armor. That's a myth. And that is something that, once again, Victorians are guilty of. They came up with this stupid idea, and it's completely made up. It's not true. In fact, there are medieval sources talking about how a knight should be able to vault onto the back of his horse in full armor. You know, not just hoist himself up, actually freaking jump onto the horse. So, yeah, that's false.
Plus, these were cultures with a rich equestrian history, and these were skilled horsemen, and they had skilled leather workers and tackers who knew how to design saddles and girths to handle the weight of a knight in his armor. And horses were specially bred to handle knights.
A lot of the misconceptions about armor come from tournament armor, because it was a lot thicker than regular armor for safety.
Right.
But, you know, battlefield armor was much different. We do a video vaulting on a horse in all gear. No, definitely not. I can't afford a full suit of plate, and also I don't think I could do that physically. It would probably be hilarious to watch me try and just jump up and bump against the horse's ass and fall down.
There's a jousting school not too far from where I live that trains guys to do stuff for like Renaissance fairs and stuff like that. One guy did exactly what you described. He tried to run up to the horse from the back and like jump over its behind, which is, it's not a way that it is a way that people did, but it's unorthodox and it's not the best way to do it in armor. And so yeah, he jumped, got pretty high, but yeah, his pelvis met the horse's rump, and things did not go well from there. Now, to be fair, the horse is actually a trained jousting horse, so it didn't try to kick him. But he did take quite a tumble and took a pretty good knock in the berries. Because
you want to load a trebuchet with tons of pommels? Are you crazy? You're gonna get us all killed. You're gonna destroy the planet.
The nuke is just a unstable pommel that we shoot protons at.
That's true.
See, We should build Pommel power plants, I guess. I have a feeling if we tried that, there would suddenly somebody with high-tech weapons would pop out of nowhere. No, I will stop you from destroying everything.
I've come back in time.
A portal opens up, and Future Skull with a huge scar and like a Terminator cyborg eye and arm and everything comes out. You idiots don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
We've got to stop this madness.
If my future self killed me, then my future self wouldn't exist to kill me, so we have a problem.
Well, the conundrum exists to begin with, but then you're just exasperating it by using a pommel.
If you throw a pommel into the time travel portal in the past and it hits your past self, will you be able to throw it? 'Cause you dead, bro. I don't know. I mean, if you have multiple timelines, it's all fine. No problem.
See,
I mean, the pommel itself is a temporal axiom to begin with. So...
We're just making stuff up here because we cannot spill the real secrets of the pommel to everybody on the public, on the internet. It would just be way too dangerous. So
Neil deGrasse Tyson's going to get mad at us again.
Neil the Pommel Tyson would not be pleased. Oh shit, I gave his real name away. I gotta delete everything. Disconnect, abort mission.
It's over.
I've done it now. How about no? Can I just say no?
As hybrid weapons go, it's not the worst I've seen. But
I mean, the worst is really, really atrocious, so that doesn't necessarily say that much.
Right.
This is pretty bad. I mean, it's okay. It may not be as bad as frickin' folding gun scythes and Ruby and all that nonsense, but this is still pretty out there.
Oh, come on. Go easy on Ruby. It has all of my favorite things.
Boobs and more boobs, you mean?
Well, yeah, mostly boobs.
Mostly
but
boobs.
also
And butts.
Also transformers and combat skirts.
Mm-hmm.
well, pommel-shaped chest protrusion.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that's a wheel pommel, not a sense stopper pommel, because that would be saggy.
Honestly, I prefer just a good old-fashioned like hexagonal knob type pommel.
As a boob, you mean?
Okay.
Hexagonal knob.
I didn't know we were still on the boob.
Yes. You want hexagonal knob-shaped
Oh,
boob.
Christ, yes.
This kind of pommel shape as a boob, because it looks like, I mean, what's that, a squid? It's got tentacles and shit? No thanks.
Oh, my God.
I don't want to know where that's going. This pommel as boobs, definitely.
No.
No. Definitely no.
Is that your little macro button keyboard?
Yes.
No.
Exactly.
No.
Yes, I have memes at my fingertips. Gotta appreciate that for a moment. I type in ugliest pommel and Shad shows up. What?
Yeah.
Why? He's the ugliest pommel on YouTube. Oh, what?
Shad is a beautiful pommel, okay?
What the hell?
Don't
Why?
leave Shad alone.
Okay, I
fair,
show up
the
too.
third
Fine. And I think I just found the worst pommel for a boob
Pommel-shaped
to be
boob.
shaped like. If a boob looks like this, you've got a problem. There's going to be. Yeah.
Oh, Christ.
If it's a face,
That's like that anime, Baki the Grappler. I can't watch that.
oh, with the
Because, like,
face on the back.
I think I'm going to be ill.
Yes. No. In terms of design, no. Okay, I keep looking up pommels, and here's something odd too.
What's that?
Wolves eating each other, apparently.
Wolf 69.
That's the thing. That's what I saw at first when I saw the thumbnail. I was like, is that a Wolf 69? What the hell? What's even happening here? A more serious question for a change. How did you start out with HEMA? What pushed you or intrigued you into that hobby? I mean, I've been messing around with swords for ever, really, and eventually I figured out, why not try to do it myself, get into it. And at first, I mean, in the very early stages, it didn't really have anything to do with HEMA. It was just like, hey, let's make some padded swords and beat the crap out of each other and have some fun. That's how it started. And then eventually I figured out, oh, you know what? There's actually people who study the historical manuals. That's pretty cool. I might actually get somewhere instead of just stupidly flailing around. Question, are Oriental swords, mostly the weird ones found in India, even practical? I've been wondering that myself. I've seen some really crazy designs, from India in particular, but also other places where you really have to wonder, like, they're so weirdly shaped that they can't be very effective, at least as far as I see it. And I mean, a lot of the stuff, I think as far as I know, both India and China had this issue that they were, at some point, there was this very strong colonial restriction on weapons and martial arts where they just outright banned everything because they were afraid of uprisings. And so you have a very, even more interrupted tradition in a way than in the West, because at least here there have always been people interested in collecting historical weapons and then looking into martial arts and everything, or at least there's been a rediscovery. And there, on the other hand, I'm not sure if a lot of the things seem like they recreated them with more kind of aesthetics and novelty in mind rather than fighting, because it was at a time when they didn't fight anymore and weren't even allowed to and all that. And I guess sometimes they probably also did go for the intimidation factor. It's like a bunch of serrations and spikes and extra points and whatever that are like, do you really want to hit by this? I mean, not that anyone wants to be hit by any weapon, but I guess it just makes it look even scarier. Could be that kind of thinking.
Have you seen the Jet Li movie Legend?
Yeah, I have, but it's been a long time.
Yeah. It's like, you remember the scene where he's fighting the other master in the restaurant, and the other guy is using that short, stubby sword that has like a really thick blade, and it's got these weird rings on the spine.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, some people have tried to tell me that, like, oh, that was for, like, carrying it or something. And I'm like, there's, like, 10 of them along the spine of the blade. How many rings do you need to carry this weird-ass sword?
Yeah.
Well, you use it like a rock climber uses the loops on their belt. You just, like, carabine shit to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Well,
maybe. I don't know.
Maybe you're just supposed to pass a rope through it and wear it on your back like a complete idiot. That could also be.
Maybe.
But yeah, that's one of those things that I also don't really understand, the rings. I mean, this is one of those types of sword that I have a pretty strong suspicion were never designed to be used in actual combat, because, I mean, it seems really dumb to make something protrude on the spine that would limit the penetration of the blade. If you try to cut into a body and just, okay, this is where it stops. It can't actually sever anything. It just, it stops there.
I'm surprised no one's asked you how realistic the fight in the sword fight in Monty Python with the Black Knight was.
Yeah. I'm kind of surprised too when I think about it.
How realistic were the knights that say me?
How realistic is the use of a shrubbery? And all that.
Quite realistic, actually.
How do you procure a shrubbery with a herring? That's the real question. Masterfully made French short sword for combat. I see what you did there. Oh, that's a pen. Okay. For a moment, I thought there's like the tang sticking out and the piece of the baguette that's detached. That would be like the pommel. Like if you have a baguette sword that you can take the pommel off. Now the French is up to something. Oh, wow. I just noticed a $50 super chat. Thank you very much, Nicholas. That's awesome. That's very generous.
Nice. Trump rightly.
Good stuff. Who's jumping out of an airplane with a microphone? Yeah, that's kind of what it sounds like. Are you skydiving?
My bad. There's a lot of wind. I'm surprised nobody's mentioned how opening and closing these trailers sounds like locking someone in jail cell.
There's something funny about that.
Yeah.
So how's the prisoner doing? Have you fed them bread and water?
I'm making my rounds. Delivering gruel to all prisoners.
Better take one of those flintlock keys with you.
Right?
Shoot them through the lock if need be. If they act up. I can see one situation in which that would totally be justifiable. Like you stick in your gun key, and it's like, here's your bread, prisoner. The prisoner's like, is it gluten free? Bang. Buckler versus bullets versus grenade versus missile versus claymore versus nuke versus will you ever stop? How do you survive and to what degree? Really? If you have a vibranium buckler, a nuke is just gonna mess with that. Unless it's a tiny, like a peanut-sized nuke.
Gamma radiation can destabilize vibranium. So the Hulk should be able to just shit all over Wakanda.
I'm horrible, but now imagine like an enemy with a vibranium armor, and Hulk just goes, "Hold him down, I'll take angry shit on him." Hulk shard on vibranium. Let's get back to Bob Ross. Yeah, it was definitely tamer when we still talked about Bob Ross beating the devil out of the brush and happy little trees and everything. That's a little more tame than radioactive.
They have to call in Bob Ross to calm the Hulk down.
Yeah, that would probably work. And like Hulk is already in the process of turning back into Banner, and then Bob Ross is like, let's smash the hell out of the brush. Smash, Hulk, smash brush. As soon as he starts talking, Hulk tired, Hulk tingly sensation in scalp. Hulk ASMR.
Hulk ASMR.
Well, I used to make fun of Hawkeye not having any superpowers until I took an arrow in the knee.
Yes, that's his superpower. Arrow to the knee.